Little doubt that the game of the week from week 4 was a Stafford County matchup between Mountain View and Colonial Forge, a couple of undefeated teams. Justin, this game did not disappoint.
I feel like last week's show I talked about Mountain View and they hadn't played a really tough schedule, and I thought they still had something to prove. I'm convinced. I'm a little surprised Mountain View won. I think I'd have picked Forge. I'm a lot surprised with the fashion that Mountain View won. Points early, all kinds of offense. I mean, these guys look good offensively.
Yeah, and I was talking to Bill Brown last week before this game, Colonial Forge's head coach, and he's like, these triplets, Tweedy, Collison-Cofie, Tre Coghill, they're really good. And then the skill they have at other positions too is really good as well. But those three remind me a lot of the guys they had a few years back when they had Elijah Burris, Gordon Collins, they had Deshaun Hamilton. I think these guys are all legit, and I think this was a game where they really kind of came out and showed, okay, maybe people have been sleeping on them a little bit.
Early front runner for a team we undersold in our high school football preview, Mountain View Wildcats.
No doubt.
Yeah.
They proved a lot. I think that we learned something about the Mountain View identity. They came out, unveiled their new turf field there, and they were pretty fast out on that turf. I mean, it's maybe for the area the greatest show on turf right now, and they put up some really good numbers. Tre Coghill, 6 receptions, 126 yards, and a touchdown receiving. Jamil Collison-Cofie just goes off again, 19 carries, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns rushing. He also has 96 yards receiving and another touchdown through the air. And that was led by the quarterback Ahmad Tweedy, 14 carries for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 15 for 27 throwing the ball, 264 yards, 2 more touchdowns passing. The Freelance Star Player of the Week.
612 offensive yards as a team. Colonial Forge defense, not happy about this one.
No, not at all. They were coming off a shutout too against Stafford, and I know they've kind of dealt with some injuries. They got some young guys at some real key spots. It's probably a learning experience for them. They've got some good tape to study and learn from. You talk about identity, though, for Mountain View. Their identity is they do everything well on offense, especially with Tweedy leading the way. Yeah. These guys are going to be really hard to stop. You can key on one element, and they're just going to be able to do the other one really well.
We talk about identity with Forge. This one doesn't sour me on Forge. I think they're still very good. I think what we just learned, though, is Mountain View is a pretty good football team this year. Colonial Forge has played that tough part of the Stafford schedule. Stafford schools between Brook Point and Mountain View and North Stafford and Colonial Forge, I think it's 4 quality football teams.
It bodes well for some matchups coming up later on down the schedule here. I'm really anxious to see how Mountain View and Massaponax, how that's going to be an exciting
looking pretty big game, yeah.
I do mention Antonio McCrae from Colonial Forge, 23 carries, 108 yards, and a touchdown rushing. In the loss, Mountain View with the big victory over Colonial Forge, final 42-27.